So again, where do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
fit into, where has I don't know, I feel like I've watched a lot of your videos, I listen to your podcast, and I feel like you are just so easy to listen to. Even if I were mad about the Bible, you seem very easy to listen to. I just don't know why. Do you have any idea, or people told you?
Okay, well, okay. Thing number one is what we've been talking about because I get what it's like to feel weird and on the outside with this, but also really like it and also kind of mad about it. I feel sometimes the same way about Star Wars. I don't know, it's the
Right.
stupidest analogy ever, but I love it, but also you're stupid and you keep disappointing me, and also
Right.
maybe it's me. So, one, I
You're
think
talking
there's
about the
just,
Star Wars series. I
yeah,
assume.
indeed.
Yeah, yeah, that is so
So,
true.
one, I just think there's a degree of empathy. I don't think people who are fussy or frustrated or irritated or have some deep seated story or whatever about church, I just don't think they're bad. I also don't think we're automatically right. It's complicated. And I mean, anybody who's going through what I'm talking about, they were born with a foot on each side of an earthquake. Remember, like in cartoons when we were
Mhm.
kids, and an earthquake would happen, and some poor sap would always have it go like right through their crotch, like,
Right.
oh no, I mean, there's a fault right between my legs. But historically, I mean, you're a student of the history of thought. That's you. You
Hmm.
have a foot on either side of the biggest chasm, the biggest intellectual life of the mind divide in the history of the West. And so do I. So why are we mad at everybody? How it's unprecedented. No one knows how to navigate that. No one knows how to be a Christian with a foot on either side of that. I mean, I don't know. You just try to be patient and give people the benefit of the doubt. I hope that somehow that comes through when we're talking about the Bible. That I, I don't know. We're not in a fight here. We don't need to act like we're in a fight. Another thing that I hope is helpful for the way we're framing the conversations is you try to do the steel man thing and ratchet down the stakes of being wrong about Bible things. I know that sounds freaky because the Word of God, and it's true, and it's from God, and it's reliable, and the words of life are in there, and you don't want to get it wrong. But Drew, you are getting it wrong. I don't know
Absolutely.
what you're wrong about. I just know
Yeah.
you're wrong. I don't know what I'm wrong about. I just promise you I am. It's like, do you remember the game on Price is Right, where they would give you like an 8-digit number, like
Yeah.
a 6-digit number, and that's the price of this camper and truck or whatever, and then you got to change them to try to get all of them right, and so you make 5 changes, and it's like, oh, you've still got 3 wrong, but they don't tell you which ones you have wrong. So if you go and mess with it, you might change one you already had right. The thing is, thinking seriously about something this complex and a document this huge, you're just going to be wrong. So I'm trying to normalize, like you just might be wrong for a while. It's okay. Also, there might be other traditions that think things that are right, or they could be wrong. Let's just take the stakes down. So instead of getting to that 1 or 0, plant a flag, I solved God, I solved the Bible thing,
Hmm.
let's just sit with it for a while. Let's take
Yeah.
the pressure off to finish this podcast and have solved 5 things. Let's just sit with it. So here's what this group thinks. Here's what this group thinks. Here's what this group thinks. Here's the most charitable articulation I can give as to how they got there. Here's what this guy does with this complex passage in Galatians. Here's how this other guy reads it. If you're guy one, given your background, it makes sense that you might come to this conclusion. If you're guy B, it makes a lot more sense to read it this way. And I- have received a lot of positive feedback from people, I think, like you and me, for for taking that approach, because it's designed to ratchet down the stakes and designed to give you as the listener language to not panic about hearing ideas you don't think right now.
Yeah. I think that's um, very prescient, not just about Bible conversation, but about cultural conversation. I found even in the classroom when we're not talking about anything religious, nobody wants to be wrong about anything. And I'm not quite sure exactly why that's so embedded. And I'm talking about in young Gen Zs and below. Really averse to being, and I play dumb professor where I intentionally say things wrong, or, like, oh, to let them know it's okay. Even I will get things wrong. And man, there's just zero tolerance. And I don't know if it's part of like the fear of being canceled, whatever that even means, if that can happen to somebody. Um,
Well, when
Like,
you and I were young, it would go away. If we were wrong, as soon as the sound wave leaving our
right,
mouth dissipated into the environment, you couldn't really even prove we said it. It was gone. What percentage of your words on a given day don't happen within reasonable distance of a device that could theoretically be on and could theoretically be recording?
right,
I would guess zero.
yeah. And so that panic or that anxiety kind of baked into the system. And then you add on to that. Well, I come from a religious tradition where there is, I mean, the number of students I have that would affirm there is one correct interpretation of a Bible passage, like just one. Like, and the goal is to find the one correct interpretation. I'm thinking, okay, well, let's. I don't. That's a trickier one because you're getting now to the center of their identity, their family, their community.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think there are any. I don't think any translation is as good as the next. But certainly there are better and there are worse. And let's think about the ones that are better and why they're better, and the ones that are worse and why they're worse. So I can imagine that creating an open space for people to go ahead and be wrong and hold with a loose hand is actually, it's almost like you're thinking about it scientifically. Like, a good working scientist doesn't think that their theory is absolutely correct. They think it's good enough to like plow forward a little bit, and then they test it against reality and see on a good day. They're seeing what's going on here, and then coming back and trying it again with a slight twist.